Have you ever stood on a shoreline, felt a really strong breeze hitting you right in the face, and watched a sailboat effortlessly slice its way directly toward where that wind is coming from? It kind of feels like magic, right? I mean, the ultimate landlubber assumption is that wind simply acts like a giant hand pushing a boat forward. But if the wind is blowing right against you, how on earth do you go forward?
Well, welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we are unpacking the fascinating physics and mechanics of wind and water propulsion. We're going to decode exactly how humans have managed to harness invisible forces to explore the globe for centuries. So let's dive right into it.
Here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the myth of wind push. Then, the anatomy of a sailboat. Third, steering with the sails. Fourth, navigating points of sail. And finally, we'll look at everything from tiny dinghies to massive ships.
All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the myth of wind push and unlearning the parachute theory.
So our basic intuition tells us that the wind just blows into a big bellying sail and shoves the boat along like a parachute. But the reality is completely different. It's actually not about the push at all. It is entirely about the pull. When a boat is sailing, the wind arrives at the front edge of the sail and then bends to follow the curve of the canvas. This bending creates a pocket of low pressure on the outside of the curve and high pressure on the inside. That pressure differential generates lift. The sail is acting exactly like an airplane wing, just standing completely on its end and literally pulling the boat forward through the water.
But wait, think about it. If a giant invisible wing is pulling the boat, why doesn't the boat just slide completely sideways across the water like it's on ice? Well, that brings us to the center of lateral resistance. This is essentially the boat's grip on the water, which is provided by the shape of the hull, the centerboard dropping down below, and the rudder. When the wind's aerodynamic pull meets this solid wall of hydrodynamic resistance, that energy has to go somewhere. The source material uses a really brilliant analogy for this. Imagine squeezing a slippery orange pip between your thumb and finger. The opposing pressures force that pip to shoot straight forward. And that is exactly what's happening to the sailboat. Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of a Sailboat, the Tools of the Trade. Now that we understand those invisible forces, let's talk about the actual setup we use to harness them. The standard arrangement used by most modern dinghies and yachts is called the sloop rig. It consists of one tall vertical mast and two primary sails. Behind the mast, attached to a horizontal pole called the boom, is the large mainsail. And tucked right in front of the mast is a smaller sail, known as the jib or the head sail. Together, these two sails interact to channel the wind perfectly over the boat. Now, to actually operate these sails, we kind of need a shared vocabulary for their geometry. It's basically a giant triangle. The top corner, hoisted up the mast, is called the head. The lower forward corner, which is attached firmly to the boat, is the tack. And the absolutely crucial lower back corner is the clew. The clew is the movable corner that dictates the entire sail's angle to the wind. As for the edges themselves, the front edge, where the wind hits first, is the luff, the trailing back edge is the leech, and the bottom is the foot.
So the really important part here is how we manipulate that clew to capture the wind. This is where the ropes, or as sailors call them, control lines, come into play. We've got two main types. First are the halyards. Think haul yards. These are the lines used purely to hoist the sails up the mast. Second, we have the sheets. Sheets are the ropes attached to the clew, or the boom, that you use to actively pull the sail in or let it out. When a sailor is constantly adjusting those sheets to catch the absolute perfect angle of the wind, that's called trimming.
Okay, on to Section 3, Steering with the Sails and Mastering Sail Balance. Most people assume the steering wheel or the rudder does all the heavy lifting. But true seamanship is really about using the sails themselves to balance the vessel. You can actually steer a sailboat without ever touching the rudder. It's all a delicate battle between the center of effort from the wind pushing the sails and that center of lateral resistance in the water. If you want to turn into the wind, which is called luffing up, you pull the mainsail in tight and ease the jib out. This makes the wind push harder on the back half of the boat, effortlessly pivoting the bow right up into the breeze. Conversely, if you want to turn away from the wind, bearing away, you pull the jib tight and ease the mainsail. Now the pressure shifts to the front of the boat, pushing the bow away. Windsurfers use this exact same principle to steer completely rudderless.
Which brings us perfectly to Section 4, Navigating Points of Sail, Maneuvering Relative to the Wind.
So when we're out on the water, there's a roughly 90-degree wedge, about 45 degrees on either side of the wind's exact direction, that we call the no-go zone. You absolutely cannot point a sailboat straight into this zone.
If you do, the wind just tries to blow across both sides of the sail at the exact same time. The aerodynamic curve is totally destroyed, the sails just flap uselessly in the breeze, and your boat comes to a complete dead standstill.
So, keeping clear of that no-go zone, we generally have three main points of sail. Number one is reaching, which is sailing across the wind. Believe it or not, this is actually the fastest and easiest point of sail, because the wind flows perfectly across the sails, generating maximum lift. Number two is close-hauled. This is sailing as close to the wind as physically possible, right on the very edge of that no-go zone. Your sails are pulled in as tight as they'll go to squeeze out every single ounce of forward lift. Finally, number three is running. This is sailing directly downwind, and ironically, this is the slowest way to sail. Why? Because you completely lose that aerodynamic wing effect. You're basically forced to let the sails out as far as possible, reverting back to that landlubber myth and just catching the wind like a big parachute.
Because of that pesky no-go zone, if you want to reach a destination directly upwind, you've got to zigzag, and the turns you make to do this are absolutely critical. First, we have tacking, or coming about. This is when you push the front of the boat, the bow, directly through the wind. As you cross through the no-go zone, your sails will flap for just a second before catching the air on the opposite side. It's a very safe, very controlled maneuver. But then we have jibing. This is when you turn the back of the boat, the stern, through the wind. Because the wind is at your back the whole time, the sails never flap. Instead, as the wind catches the other side, that heavy boom swings rapidly and powerfully right across the deck to the other side. It's incredibly dynamic, very forceful, and requires some serious attention from the crew.
All right, let's wrap up the mechanics and move to Section 5, From Dinghies to Ships, Scaling the Physics. What is absolutely wild about sailing is that the core physics never actually change, even as the physical execution scales up dramatically. Think about it. In a small, lightweight dinghy, you steer with a simple handheld tiller. With no heavy weight underneath, stability literally comes from the crew hiking their own body weight out over the edge of the boat just to stop the wind from flipping it over. Then you move up to a yacht, and you've got a heavy lead keel underwater for stability, a steering wheel, and mechanical winches to handle the extreme tension on the sheets. But then, look at historical square-rigged ships. They didn't even use those triangular sloop rigs. They had massive square sails hung from heavy horizontal yards. To trim those sails, the crew couldn't just pull a sheet. They had to haul on heavy ropes called braces to physically rotate the entire wooden yardarm and the sail all the way around the mast. There's a fantastic summary from our source material that really hits the nail on the head for this entire explainer. It says, whether in a small dinghy or massive tall ship, the fundamental physics remain the same, using adjustable canvas to capture wind energy against water resistance. I just love that. It's this beautiful, elegant consistency that spans literal centuries of human navigation. So I want to leave you with a thought. We just learned how early sailors essentially figured out how to fly vertical wings through the water, turning the invisible push of the wind into an aerodynamic pull to conquer the globe. If humans achieved all of that using just lift and lateral resistance in an age of wood and canvas, what other invisible forces flowing around us every single day are we simply failing to harness right now? Keep that curiosity alive, look a little closer at the invisible mechanics of the world around you, and thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.